This is Roy Richards, head football coach at Morton. Evidently, he'll never be the head football coach at Andrean because the athletic director there just got tossed a softball. Hey, Roy Richards is, I'm going to look him up right now at Hammond Morton, is now 5-1 on the season. Beat Hammond High last week. Now, let's talk about this. Huge spread in the papers about Hammond High thinking they're going to step up to the level of Morton, and the Calumet Avenue was just going to go crazy. And you guys came in and took care of business right away. I'm sure that was the plan, huh?
It really was. You know, you and I talked a little bit off the air. I think there's a lot more that goes into making a good program, and a lot of hard work goes into it. And sometimes these media guys build people up so quickly, and Eric will be the first one to tell you that there's a lot of hard work left to do, and congratulations for those guys for making this game a big game and for putting themselves in that position. But there's a lot that goes into putting a program out on a field and making it a huge game. And I thought it was a little unfair to the Hammond High kids to put them on center stage and have those big spreads. It's always nice to do that. I remember in 2005 they did that with us the week before Griffith pasted us. And sometimes just because you're getting success and you're starting to find yourself, it doesn't necessarily mean you're ready to be out on that centerfold. And they kind of put Hammond High out there, and I still think they're doing a great job, and they've got a nice team. It just doesn't mean they're ready to play us on that Friday night. So I think we just took care of our business, and we're moving on.
And let's take a look at some of the other games coming up this Friday. Andrean is hosting KV on Friday as their homecoming. You know, I'm looking at the scores on Andrean, who's ranked. What number are they ranked? Number 3. Where did we vote them? We voted them 3. You know, in the AP poll, which is the only one that matters.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure, I was going to say that.
Yeah. But they really haven't been tested. Even at Maryville, I guess they got tested at Maryville, beat them 21-12, but some of these other wins are by 40, 50 points. Are they that good?
Yes, they are. They're that good up front on both sides of the ball, and so many of us out there are struggling on one side of the ball, whether it's consistency or size or what have you. Andrean has both sides of the ball, and they've got it going on up front. So teams are having a hard time getting going offensively against them because you just don't get any rhythm. Andrean's offense is not spectacular. Phil will be the first one to tell you that. But all they've got to do is play good, consistent football. Their defense keeps giving them opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. Eventually they break through and they take away your will. So, yeah, they are that good.
Same question. Lake Central is going to be tested for next 3 Fridays. They're going to be at Chesterton, they're going to host Maryville, and they're going to be at Valpo. Brett St. Germain, that's arguably his toughest stretch. It's got to be his toughest stretch. I'm looking at it. Can Lake Central survive that stretch?
They can, just because they're so physical. I see them losing one of those games, not because the other opponent's better. I think there comes a time when you have to play at a high level week after week after week, and sometimes our kids, everybody's kids, don't do that. They play at a high level for a while, and they dip down mentally more than physically, and that's when somebody gets you. And you don't have to be the better team on Friday. You just have to be the better team that night. And I think they'll survive the stretch, but they could end up with a loss heading in. And there again, that might be something that's good for them to remind them that if they're not bringing their A game, they could be done real quickly.
Talking to Morton head coach Roy Richards, Brett St. Germain is 6-0 at Lake Central. Lake Central and Andrean probably the cream of the crop right now in terms of 6-0 records. Of course, you guys are right there too. But having dropped one to Morton, I think you moved down a little bit in the polls. But still right up there as one of the top teams in the Class 4A in the state of Indiana. I just got to ask you this. Brett St. Germain, kind of a pretty boy. Does he have a soft side too? Like
Oh, yeah. He'll be the first one. He won't admit it, but I'll text it to him as soon as we're done with this. But
does he worry about his hair once in a while?
You know, I don't know if it's his hair. I think he thinks that makes him look a little bit rugged. He grows the 5 o'clock shadow, but his pants are pressed and his shirt is pressed. So we're going to go ahead and throw that at him on the air tonight, too.
So also, 2 of the guys, Tim Sirkovich, once the pride of Highland High School, throwing darts as a quarterback, being called out today, along with Roy Richards. Those 5 words of the week. Roy, tell people what this means.
Once again, we're trying to get this citywide and even region-wide. We're adding 5 words a week that come from the SAT work list. And taking a page off the advice of some of our English teachers, we're going with some review words. I've got 3 words from last year, 1 word from last week, and then a new word. So that's kind of what the plan is going to be from now on. Keep reviewing and keep introducing maybe 1 word a week. Keep hitting the ones that we feel like last year we either had a connection with or a lot of the kids missed on. So I'll cover that as we go.
You know, let's. The ultimate goal, though, is you've been giving this to your football team.
Absolutely.
And it's been picked up in some other areas in Morton, and you know, you'd like to make it available to other schools, other teams, that kind of thing. And they can email you where?
rrrichards@hammond.k12.in.us. You know, all you got to do is email me and say, hey, put me on the list, and when I shoot out the words, I'll shoot it to them. Also, I'd really like some input if somebody has words that they have a list of vocabulary words that they're hitting hard in their school. If they could give me that list, and then we could make one of those words each week.
Yeah, like say Calumet High School said, hey, you know, we're hitting this, you know, why don't we put this in? And the whole idea is to get these kids doing a little bit better on the SAT. I mean, even a 5% improvement on the vocabulary section of the SAT can markedly improve somebody's chances to go to college.
Oh, without a doubt. And like I keep saying before, we've had players that took the SAT in the spring that came back and said, Coach, quite a few of those words were on the test, and we recognize those. So that's just reinforcement that we're doing it right, and we want to keep hitting it, and we want to help as many people as we can and get as much input from anybody that we can. We're certainly open to any ideas that are out there.
All right, go ahead, Roy.
Okay, the first word, exacerbate. This was a word that we had last year. The meaning is to increase in severity, further aggravate. Using it in a sentence, telling assistant principal Rags a lie after already being in trouble will only exacerbate the punishment. The second word, apprehensive. This was from last week. Uneasy or uneasy or fearful, being nervous. Alfredo was feeling apprehensive when he saw the when he saw the official throw a flag in his direction during the game on Friday. I know as a player.
Did that happen?
Yeah, it did happen. It was pretty flag-happy game, and
Alfredo
he got one. And I know I've been in that situation. The ref looks at you, throws a flag, and you have that butterfly feeling because you realize I got caught or someone saw something, and now everybody in the stadium is going to know it was me. The third word, nonchalant. This was a word from a year ago. Casually unconcerned, very indifferent. The sentence, Greg tried to act nonchalant when he received an A in Mr. Jancic's class, even though actually he was very excited. Mr. Jancic is a great teacher at Morton High School, a former baseball coach. The fourth word, resilient. This was from last year, and the reason why I put that in is because one of the definitions is rebounding, recovering readily, and our kids see the word rebound, and that's all they put for a definition, and then they don't learn the word. So I try to get them to understand that you're rebounding back from something, bouncing back from something. The definition, or the sentence, after receiving a poor grade on the first test in Ms. Draskovich's class, Rob showed he is resilient by earning an A on the next test. Ms. Draskovich is a math teacher at Morton High School, been there a long time, does a great job for us. And then the last word, apathetic, and this is the new word. Having or showing little emotion, uncaring. It is very difficult for Miss Stork to teach her students when they are apathetic to what she is introducing to them.
Big deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who cares?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter.
And that's what we try to tell our kids when they say, people say, hey, you're pathetic. What they're saying is you don't care. So apathetic is you have or showing little care or concern. So we always try to tell them, look at the teacher when they're talking to you, look them in the eye, show care and concern, and make sure you soak in as much information as you can.
You know, Roy, we're sitting here. Roy, of course, comes in here during the football season. We pushing these words. It's working at Morton. If you want it to work with your kids, especially at the high school level, help them out with their SAT. I just sent an email to Jean, our webmaster. She's going to put these up on our website, too, WJOB1230.com. These 5 words will be up there if you need to take them off of the website. So you'll have a way of doing that also. You know, I'm just having a flashback of, you know, when I played for Munster in the late 70s, and for the longest time, my dad said, don't you remember when you got burned against Morton as a junior, and I'm like, no, Dad, I don't remember that. And all of a sudden, for some reason, it just came back, and I'll set this up. I remember this. It was a very good Morton team and a very good Munster team, and I think I must have been a junior and played on the offense and then went over on the defense. And it was like the fourth quarter, and we were winning 6-0. Now for some reason, it's coming back. And a guy's name, and I knew him, friend outside of football, kind of like happens now, but he went to Morton, and I went to Munster, and his name was Steve Zubrenik. Well, the quarterback for Morton turns around and fakes the handoff, and I'm the safety, and I bite, and I'm going to make the tackle, right?
Absolutely.
And, of course, there goes 6'2" Steve Zubrenik right behind me off the tight end position. Catches a touchdown pass, and now we lose 7-6 to Morton with several thousand people there. And I think the reason that it came back to me is that you were talking about a flag being thrown and getting apprehensive at that. And I think earlier in that game I had a touchdown called back on one of my bad blocks. But the key there is that there's tradition at Morton. And I think I'm thinking back on that in the late 70s. I remember going to Morton with my father, who went there in, say, the late 60s to watch Morton play. And now that's being repeated once again with a lot of kids from Hessville in the area, where they're bringing out their kids. They may not even have anything to do with the program, but they're showing what is possible.
Absolutely. We're so proud of what's going on at Morton High School, academically, obviously athletically, and with the football program. The one thing is you can't do it better than they did it back in the 60s and 70s. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to do stuff academically to put us apart, because you can't just go say, hey, let's go block better than those guys did in the 60s. The stories are those guys were mammoths, and you know how that goes.
You know what? Let me tell you something.
I know.
You know what? Let me tell you something. My dad went to Morton, and I know a lot of his friends and so forth. I mean, it doesn't matter. That was like the best thing ever in the world.
Yes,
okay?
Absolutely.
And you'll never be that good. So you're right. I'm glad that you're not trying to compete with that kind of tradition. But it is there to build on.
It's there, and it's actually part of our tradition. And I appreciate and being proud of being a part of that. So it's kind of nice knowing that they wore the same jerseys and the same name on the chest when they played. And we're telling our kids, hey, let's do what they did, and let's see if we can't do a little bit other stuff to add to it.